I have to add this book to the list. This is Joplins Ghost by Tananarive Due. I love this book because it is a ghost story. It is a possession story. It is a time travel story. It is about Scott. You know, it has references to Scott Joplin, and this is one of those books where I mentioned in my previous video about reading books that are like historical fiction and they have some truth in them or things that took place in history, and finding that, researching that information to gain and retain more knowledge. This is one of those books. There are, it's jam-packed with information, and it's not a small book, but I think I read this in like a week and a half, and that's with working, working, church activities, and had just doing things with myself, for myself, and with my friends. This is a very good book. I have read this 3 times. It's such a good story, and if you haven't read anything by Tananarive Due, her writing is weird enough to be sci-fi and to keep you sci-fi and paranormal, and to keep you hooked into the story. I loved this story, and just like I said, it's a ghost story, it's a possession story, it's a time travel story. It's got some of everything in it, including historically based fact. It's just awesome. Okay, the next book is Joy by Victoria Christopher Murray. This was the first book that I read by Victoria Christopher Murray. It is a Christian fiction novel, and I've actually had to purchase this book twice. That's how much I like this book. I bought it, I read it, and I loved it so much that I loaned it to a coworker that I had at the time, and she never returned it, and I switched placements, and so I couldn't find her. I lost her information. I couldn't get in contact with her again, so I just bought it again. But I think this has been optioned for a movie or something. I think I remember her saying something about that on Facebook. And it's just a really great story, a compelling story about just the strength of a woman and her strong faith in God, and how that faith and that strength and that trust in God can bring you to do something that you never thought that you would do, can help you get through things that you never thought you would experience, and then once you have experienced them, and you have some really hard decisions to make, making the best decision for you, even if other people don't agree with it, even if other people think you're crazy, and doing so in a graceful and a Christ-like manner. And last but certainly not least is Kindred by Octavia Butler. I have purchased this book 4 times. If you can see, this one is the 25th anniversary edition. This is my 4th copy of this book, and this is the reason why I do not loan out books anymore. I purchased this book in 2001. And I picked it up. I was in Barnes & Noble's, killing time. I picked it up and read the prologue and said, oh my God, I need this in my life. And so I bought it, and I took it, I think I was at my dad's house back then, at that point. It was over the summer. And I took it, and I read it in 2 days. It was absolutely amazing. This is seriously one of the best books that I have ever read. I absolutely love Octavia Butler. May she rest in peace. And again, this is one of those books, I loved it, and so I wanted other people to enjoy it. People were looking for something good to read that was going to capture their attention. So if they asked me if I had anything, I would give them a list of books that I read that I loved, and I would tell them, but I would start with this book. And I loaned this book to 3 different people, and every time, that whole giving folks a chance, fresh out of chances. I'm not buying this book Again, I will probably buy it for my Kindle, but I'm not buying it in print form again, so this will never, ever be loaned out again. So if you like it, you know me, and you want to read it, buy your own. But it is a time travel story. It touches on so many different things, and I am going to talk about this a little bit. It touches on so many different things. It's an interracial relationship, and it's a time travel story where the main character, who is African American, she's married to her husband is white, and she finds this time travel portal in their house, and she gets sucked back into slave days, and she ends up meeting, she comes in contact dealing with slavery, and of course as a modern woman, while she knew her history, she had never experienced it, so she's dealing with knowing that, and then at some point her husband gets sucked in with her, so it's in order for us to be able to survive this and to get back where we're supposed to be and be safe and sound, I have to say I own you, and you have to be okay with it. We got to make this work. And the people that she comes in contact with the people who owned her family, and for the time that she's there, because she's a black woman in slave time, before her husband gets sucked through with her, she has to dress like a slave, talk like a slave, be humble like a slave, and Octavia Butler was so ahead, in my opinion, from where, so ahead of the times. And this is one of the things I love about books and music. They're timeless. This book was published in 1979. I came across it in 2001. And in 2013, this book would still be a good read. The issues in the book are still relevant. The things that have happened in this book in 2013, if you've never read this book, would still have shock value in 2013. I mean, this is a great story. I said I was going to do them in no particular order, but if I had to crown a most favorite book ever, fiction book ever, this would be it. This would be it. I actually have the final book Octavia Butler wrote before she passed away, which is Fledgling, and I have not read that. I bought it like a month before she died, and I have just not read it because I don't know. I think reading it, knowing that it was her last written work, is just too final for me. For me right now, and like I said, I owned it since a couple of months before she passed, because she was, as far as I knew, supposed to be on a book tour, and so I was going to get to see her on the book tour. So I bought the book so that she could sign it, and I was going to take this and ask her to sign. Well, it was another copy at that. No, it was this copy. I was going to take this and ask her to sign it and everything, and then I heard that I think at the end of February she had passed away. So I've been sitting on reading Fledgling. I'm going to read it eventually, but I just can't make myself do it yet. But I have read this book over, and this book and Fahrenheit 451 are probably the most frequent reads that I have, on top of reading other things. But I absolutely love this book. And she was an African American author, as is Tanana Reeve Dew and Victoria Christopher Murray. But this story is just awesome. So, final book in the grouping, and I hope you agree. If you haven't read any of these books, please do, because they're all great. They really are all good reads. Some of them, just because I like them doesn't mean that you're going to like them. I think you will like this though. I don't know how you couldn't. I think you would like this. It's really, really good. Like, I'm ready to read this again right now. It's that good. But yeah, that's the end of my list. So thanks for watching. Till next time.